Hi, so in this video, I'm gonna show you the updated tutorial on how to assemble petal number 127. So I also updated the layout of the templates, so it's gonna be easier also. So here we are using 5 different layers, the 5 layers of this petal design, and when assembled, this petal can become 19 to 21 inches of a rose. However, this petal design also can be made into a regular paper flower with a different center. But what we're going to do now is 127 rows. That this one includes with the bud assembly also. So in this particular flower, we're going to use 18 sheets of paper and 6 sheets of the first 4 layers and 12 pieces of the, what I mean is 6 pieces for the 4 first layers and then 12 pieces for the smallest one for the 5th layer. So how I lay it out on Cricut, or how you can lay it out on your paper, is this way, so that you can the same way as I do, you'll only be using 18 sheets of paper. So this is petal number 1, the largest petal. You'll need 6 sheets of this, and this is petal number 2 and petal number 5. So I put 2 petal number 5 here in a way that although you're only going to cut 6 sheets of this paper, you'll still end up 12 pieces of the smallest one. So this is the 2nd and the 5th petal. So on this 3rd layer also, we have the 3rd and the 4th petals. So all you need is to cut 6 sheets for this. So now that I introduce you on how I lay out mine, one of the other things that you're gonna need when you make this flower is, of course, the 5 inches base and scissors and pencils. Especially if you're going to do the tracing and cutting, you'll need this, your hot glue and your glue gun, and of course different sizes of curling materials. And I'm using dowel rods here as well as this pencil. So let's start with our bud first. So as I mentioned earlier, the first 4 layers has 6 sheets. However, our 5th and final layer has 6. So what we're going to do, let's split this one in 2, and each group should have 6 petals on it. So leave the other 6, group it with the remaining petals, and let's concentrate on the first 6 petals that we have here. So let's recount 2, 4, and 6. So what we're trying to do here is we are going to make the bud first, and I strongly recommend to do this method so that you will know when you arrange your petals inward to your flower, you know how much space you need for your center. So first thing, get your dowel rod and make a soft curl in the middle. And after that, get 2 petals and assemble it like a bone. Like so. So it's like a ribbon now. Now we're going to fold the petals upward from the base. going to start making the bud by creating a cone, one petal at a time. Like so, and then join the other petal. And I would recommend, especially to the innermost layer of your bud, I would recommend to glue one side at a time, and then glue the other side. So now our first two layers, the first two petals is assembled as a bud. We can now join the remaining. Let's start with two and then fold it upward like so, and then just put some glue in there. So I know there's some extra space here, don't worry about that. It will be gone later. So as you can see, I started on this side because this is the open area that we last placed our petal. So we're going to do one petal at a time again, one side of the petal, and then join the other side. So let's move on to the opposite side. And place your bud as center as possible. And then we can join this to our bud. So in this portion, I am now comfortable, you know, gluing two sides at a time. The most crucial part is the innermost petals. So now we're going to add the two remaining petals. Like so. And the last petal for the bud. So here's our bud. Let's set this one aside and let's work on into our petals. So first things first, what we're going to do is to add a slit into our petals. So the largest has the deepest cut. Two. Three. 4 and 5. So first thing we're going to do is start with the largest petals, and 3 sheets at a time. Fold it, slightly fold it in the middle so that we can create some texture on the petal, and then curl both sides outward. Then curl it outwards. So this is gonna be our outermost petals. And then let's move on to our second layer. We're using a smaller dowel rod since this is a smaller petal. Again, the same thing, 3 sheets at a time, and slightly fold it in the middle, but this time one side outward and one side inward. 2. So slightly fold again, one side outward, one side inward. So using a smaller dowel rod, we're gonna do the same thing as what we did on the second layer. Out and in. Out and in. So down to our fourth layer, the same way as was with what we did the last 2 layers. Now I'm using a smaller curling material, which is a pencil. The same thing. Out. In. Out. And in. In our last and final petals, what we're going to do, instead of folding, we're going to slightly curl it in the middle, the same way as what we did with the bud. This is an extension of the bud, by the way, like the transitional layer. So 3 sheets at a time, we're going to curl the sides all inward, like so. So because we're going to make a rose, we have to be very careful with the way how we're going to glue the flap together. Instead of gluing all the flaps all at a time, we're going to glue it 1 layer at a time so that we can anticipate how, you know, how we're going to make our petals stand into our base. So let's start with the largest one, of course, and we're going to make it upright this way. So this is where I'm gonna glue my flaps, and we're going to glue our petals the same way on this layer. Two. Three. 4. 5. And 6. So once we glue the flaps already, instead of doing it all as I said earlier, we're going to attach these petals into our base now. So the way how I place my petals on the base, I have a separate video that I thoroughly explain how I distribute my petals evenly around my base, so you can check that out. I would also attach the link below, the basic of on how to assemble the universal paper flower. Okay, so now that we've attached our first layer, let's work on into our second layer and gluing the flaps for this layer. But before that, we're going to check out how much we're going to glue into our flap sides. So now I'm able to identify where am I going to place the flaps. We're going to glue all 6 together in the same way. So I just wanted to emphasize that this petal is one of my favorite petal, especially when, you know, a client would ask that she would want roses. Yes, I'm going to do my large roses, but those are also my favorite. It would also give a good layer and texture to the arrangement. However, this particular rose design uses half the number of petals from the large rose. that I have, and basically they have the same circumference. So now that our second layer is done, we're going to attach it into our flowers. So as you can see, I place it in between the two layers of the previous petals. And as you can observe, I haven't moved really inward yet, because our center is this much and we only have this much to work on, and we still have 3 layers to put in. So we can now close this open areas. One of the thing that also I love about this petal design, it's so lush and full, and definitely would give a good body in your paper flower arrangement. So now let's close all this open area. And let's work onto our third layer. Okay. So now I identify the placement of the flaps. The same thing, we're going to glue it the same way together. Final petal of this layer. So we're gonna place this again into our flower. And now let's start to move a little bit inward. Slightly. So imagine with just 18 sheets of paper, you're going to create this lush and full rose for your arrangement. It has a different texture too, because the petals seems like it's a looser ones compared to, you know, different type of rose that I have. So more texture, it will be more interesting for your arrangement. final layer, a final petal on this layer. So again, as I said earlier, you can make this as regular paper flower templates. You can put a floppy center instead of this rose into it, and also you can use this two last petals to create a smaller flower. So you're not really limited with just the rose that you can do on this particular flower design. So we're now moving into our fourth layer. And I already identify the place where I'm gonna put the flaps. And we can glue it now to our flower. So moving slightly inward this time again. And last petal on this layer. So now we're down to the last layer. Let's check. Okay. I found where I am going to place the flaps. One. Second. The third. The fourth. And the fifth and last. So let's glue this into our flower. the 5th, and then now to our last petal. So as I said earlier, this petal here, the last layer, is our transitional layer to our bud. So now we can put our bud in the middle, but before that, to make it easier for us, let's cut the corners. And don't worry, it's not gonna come off, because we're just cutting the corners so that it would be easier and more rounded, you know, to place in the middle of our flower. It's easier for us to position this one here now that, you know, the edge are out. Plus you cannot really see this cut later on. So let's give a generous amount of glue, and let's place this one in the middle to cover all the possible white or base that shows off. So that's it, guys. This is our 19 to 21 inches petal. If we lay this one a little bit down, I'm sure it's gonna be larger. So anyway, I like the way how it looks. It's so full, it's so lush, and it has a rosebud on it. So this is again petal number 127. For the templates, I'm gonna also put the link of you know, where you can get this petal template into my shop. So thank you so much for watching. If you have any comment or any question about this petal design, put it in the comment section below, or follow us in our Instagram, and I am more active in that social media. So until next tutorial, thank you, bye.